The General Insurance presents Ordering a Sandwich with Shaq and Hall of Fame announcer Michael Buffer.
I'm going to have roast beef. What do you want, Michael?
Let's get ready for pastrami on rye.
Turns out, Michael Buffer talks like that all the time. And it turns out, The General is a quality insurance company that's been saving people money for nearly 60 years.
Spicy Dijon mustard.
For a great low rate and nearly 60 years of quality coverage, make the right call and go with The General.
Some restrictions apply.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. The number one, the best Kraken studio host that KJR has ever had. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mike Benton. You can follow Mike on Twitter at Benton_Mike, and he's on the Beacon Plumbing hotline. Sir, how was that last night? How fun was it?
It still doesn't feel real at this point, and great to have you guys here. I would assume that in this position, I appreciate the compliment, and you know what? I just would say that it is a tough act to follow. But from what I see in the first game for this franchise of the rest of their lives, it was not easy. They were facing a Vegas Golden Knights team that had enjoyed basically unparalleled success out of the gate as an expansion franchise just 4 years ago, reaching the conference finals in 3 of those years. A lot of the players that they had back from last year were here this year. They still have 5 players retained from their first opening night game in franchise history. The Kraken fell down 3-0 in the first, roughly half the game, 2-0 in the first 10 minutes, and falling prey to the trademark Vegas tidal wave in a very hard place to play. They could have easily have just packed it up right from there by the second period and said, forget it, we'll just play out the string and get ready here for Thursday. They had different ideas, and for them to fight back in that game and eventually tie it in the third period, I thought spoke volumes to their character and a lot of what they can give these fans around here for this season and beyond. It's tough for the one goal defeat, but I thought a very, very incredible display of resiliency in their very first game in a very tough place to play.
Mike Benton's on the Beacon Plumbing hotline. He is our studio host for the Seattle Kraken radio network, and he's a seasoned pro. You can just hear it in his voice. Now, Mike, I want you to take a step back. I mean, could you pinch yourself last night? I mean, you grew up loving this sport, man. I mean, how cool was it once that microphone turned on at 6:30? You were the very first voice that everyone heard to bring in Seattle Kraken hockey. Have you allowed yourself to kind of take a step back and kind of think about that for a sec?
I'm not going to lie. I've pinched myself maybe about 10 or 15 times already anymore, and I may have to go and visit the doctor here at some point. But very much indicative, I think, of how hard it's been to get to this level, how much of a dream come true it is, how grateful I am to have this kind of an opportunity to share this game with so many great people who tune in across the Puget Sound, the Pacific Northwest, and beyond, and also get a chance to work with some great people on top of that. So, it's going to sink in very, very soon. My own philosophy is you have a job to do, you focus on one thing and get it done. And, after last night, it was like just, walking out of the office like, just another game. And I think for some ways, that's the way that I prefer, because at some point you don't want to get caught up in the moment, lose your train of thought, lose how you tell the story. But, when this all sinks in, yes, it's going to be very, very cool to consider that this was all a part of history. And also on top of that, too, we missed a great guy in Everett Fitzhugh last night who was out due to COVID protocol. And this was a moment that he was built for and that we had to share with them. And Mike is waiting for him. And for certain, our hope is that he is back very, very soon with this, because we are all better with him behind the microphone.
Yeah, do you think he's going to miss the rest of the road trip and then maybe be ready for the first home game?
Very good question. I'm not certain. Those are details we are not privy to. All that we had to know that, unfortunate as it was with the COVID protocol, like anybody, you're subject to the steps that you have to take to be cleared. So it's really at this point a day-by-day process. So is that once he is back in, we've already had about a good 6 games here of preseason play to work with, and he's going to be as fresh as here for his very first regular season game.
Mike Benton is again with us. He's our studio host for the Seattle Kraken Radio Network. Mike's going to be joining us every Wednesday at 10:30, breaking down the Kraken. So we are super excited about that. So every Wednesday there at 10:30 with us here on 950 KJR. What we were talking about this earlier. Now Jim and I and Chris, we're rubes to this whole hockey thing. All right, Benton. So help us out. But we said this earlier. If you take that play last night where the cat for the Knights kicked the goal in, and you showed it to 10 people at a bar, 9 out of 10 people are going to say, "Oh, no, he meant to do that. He meant to kick it into the net." Did they get it right? Is that legal?
Well, the rule is for the NHL is that you cannot use a distinct kicking motion to direct the puck with your skate into the goal. How you define a distinct kicking motion is the hot topic of conversation right now. I can say that I did not go to bed feeling good with how that ended last night. And the rules specifically state in the NHL rulebook, a puck that deflects into the net off an attacking player's skate who does not use a distinct kicking motion is a legitimate goal. A puck that goes into the net by an attacking player's skate shall be a goal as long as there is no distinct kicking motion evident. And for one of those, it is, for instance, if the skate turns and the puck deflects off the skates inadvertently, then you could count it as a goal. Some people will also argue you have to have maybe a pendulum swing to direct it in. But I had to look at.
This is worse than the NFL. Hey, Benton, this is worse than the NFL catch rule back in the day.
Oh, my goodness. It's almost as if we're going to, break down science here with what is movement, what is motion, and we might as well not be talking sports. We're now talking physics here.
Yeah.
But, I looked at this play about 10 times last night. It was apparent to me that with the skate turning and the puck also meeting the skate at the same time, you can't put yourself into the player's mind and think, was he trying to do it? But it looked awfully close, as if that was a direct kick. So a tough break for the Kraken that they had to absorb in last night's game, but really evident that they were in this thing all the way, and to nearly come back against a Vegas team that had over 90 wins, no losses, and 1 loss in overtime when they lead by 3 goals or more again speaks volumes that they were dead set on making a big comeback in their very first game by only being together for a team as roughly 2.5, 3 weeks have it. And to pull off a comeback like this nearly to completion to force overtime, maybe even get the win, pretty remarkable.
Well, Hackstall's been saying for months, Mike, that you can't win a game in the first period or the second period. You can win the game in the third period, All right, I've watched it a million times. I mean, he kicked the damn thing in the goal. I'm watching it again. There is zero debate that he kicked it in to the net. Hey, Mike, we're happy for you. You sounded great last night. We're excited that you're going to be joining us every Wednesday at 10:30 to talk Kraken. Get some rest, and we'll hear you back on the airwaves tomorrow against Nashville. What time does pregame start tomorrow?
We are off and running at about 4:30 with the Kraken and Nashville Predators. It will be Nashville's very first home opener or first home game of the season as well. So that's also a tough place to play when you talk about fans packing the building in, energy, and so to nearly get through this first game with Vegas sets themselves up well here for what will be another pretty big test coming up. So it's going to be a great one.
All right, appreciate it, Mike. Get some rest. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, fellas.
Introducing the Black Kitchen Podcast, an audio series about modern Black cuisine. My name is Adrian Miller. I'm a culinary historian and soul food scholar. Over 6 episodes, I'll be digging into the stories of 6 Black restaurateurs. Join us while we chop it up about everything from their triumphs to their setbacks and their menus. You'll smile, you might even cry, and you'll definitely learn a little something. Find the Black Kitchen Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.